How's it going, everybody, and welcome back to the FM Scout YouTube channel with me, Keepers, where today we're going to be going through part 2 of the Old Firm in England. Before we go ahead, I'd like to direct you to my channel, especially if you are a Celtic fan, Rangers fan, or just a fan of Scottish football in general, because I do have a series going on right now called Reliving 67, where we take over Celtic. So click on the annotation right now on your screen to be taken to the first episode, and fingers crossed you guys like, enjoy, and also subscribe. So without further ado, let's get into part 2. So in part 1, which if you haven't watched it, then please go watch it now, otherwise I'll be spoiling everything for you. But in part 1, we went through the first 3 seasons of putting Celtic and Rangers in League 2. And in the first season, both Celtic and Rangers got promoted to League 1. In season 2, Rangers got promoted to the Championship, but Celtic didn't get through League 1 the first time of asking. Then the third season, Rangers stayed within the Championship and Celtic got through League 1. And so the fourth season, we've gone through 2 seasons in part 2, so the first season of this episode will be Celtic and Rangers' first season together in the Championship, and the second season is just whatever happens the season afterwards. So we are currently 2 seasons into the future from the last episode, so the first season in the Championship together has been played, and the season after that has also been played. So who knows, Celtic and Rangers could even be in the Premier League at this point, or they could even be back in League 1. So one thing you can actually see is in the insecure job parts, you can see Malcolm George Mackay is in an insecure position at Rangers, which means his job is potentially up for grabs, and that usually means that Rangers are currently underperforming. But before that, let's go in and see how Celtic are getting on. They're 4th in the Championship. Now before we click on that, that could either mean they reached the playoffs but didn't win the final, or they've reached the playoffs and won the final and won promotion into the Premier League. Rangers, on the other hand, don't seem to be within the playoff spots. Otherwise, why would Malcolm Mackay's job be up for grabs? Or are they in the Premier League, and are Rangers, have they gotten, yeah, because the season's finished, so they could have gotten relegated. Maybe that's why his job is up for grab. So first of all, Celtic's manager is Lee Johnson from England. Okay, that's fine. Let's look at the Championship. And it looks like Celtic have actually won the playoff finals into the Premier League. Now that was this season, but looking at last season, let's see what happened. So last season, this is Celtic and Rangers' first season together in the Championship. You can see Celtic 19 wins, 13 draws, 14 losses and 70 points. First season in, finishing 7th, that's pretty strong. And Rangers still teetering about kind of lower table with 57 points. But let's have a look at the transfer history Celtic did that season. They spent 41 million. Highest was Jack Grealish from Aston Villa, who isn't even at Celtic anymore. He's at Wolves, only spent a year there. David Fowler from Dijon for 8.75 million, still at Celtic. Harley Dean from Brentford. Tom Thorpe from Rotherham. He actually went back and signed Patrick Roberts, who was on loan at Celtic in real life. He still is right now. So they went back and bought him for 3 million, which is quite cheap. George Evans for 2.2 million, who again is now at Everton for 11. George Friend from Middlesbrough, who's still at Celtic. Martin Kelly from Swansea, who's at Brentford now. They don't keep players for very long. I mean, for a season at least. Subotic in, now is at PAOK. Freddie Woodman is now at Tottenham. Why don't they keep players? Jack Colback is still at Celtic. Well done, you've kept a player. They loaned back in Adam Matthews, who formerly used to be at Celtic. Harry Chapman, again, not even at Celtic anymore. And Tom Burns is now at West Brom. In terms of players sold, you remember in the first episode, they actually signed Lewis Cook for something like 11 million. They sold him for 41 million to Manchester City. Sold Cal McGregor for 3.3. Sold Dedrick Boyata for 2.8. Scott Sinclair to 2.2 to Fulham, who were in the Championship also. Alex Pearce to Brighton. I'm not going to say that name, to Reading for 950k, Lustig to St Etienne for 625k, and a lot of players leaving out on freeze, and Craig Gordon retired. So with that, let's go back into the Championship. Obviously they just won the playoffs, so look at the stages of this year's. They finished 4th with 78 points, 21 wins, 15 draws, 10 losses, and they beat Fulham in the playoff finals. Rangers, on the other hand, finish dead last and get relegated back into League 1. Maybe that's why, it's definitely why Malcolm Mackay's job is now up for grabs. And so these are the signings Celtic made to get promoted into the Premier League. It was George Baldock from MK Dons, Isaac Suenka from Atletico Pamplona, Sid Nelson from Preston, Izzy Brown from Wigan, Connor Goldson from Everton, Barry Bannon, who, fun fact, I used to go to primary school with. Barry Bannon used to play for Aston Villa, and I can't remember who else. Sheffield Wednesday? Well, yeah, he signed him from Sheffield Wednesday. Dimitar Evtimov, a new goalkeeper. Greg Lee from Brighton, Michael Morrison, Kadeem Harris. A lot of players. No players with big names, but in terms of players sold, they sold Jack Grealish, as we saw, after a season for 11 million to Hull, Jake Bidwell for 8.25, George Evans for 7.5, Tom Ince for 6, Freddie Woodman for 2, Martin Kelly for 700, Nevin Subotic for 500, and Jack Byrne for 200. So again, they're making very nice profit. 7 million at the start, 66, 74, 52, and now 37. Whereas in terms of spent, they spent 58, they spent 71, they spent 41, they spent 25. So really, in every single season, they've not spent more than what they've got in, which is pretty much good financial. Good financial? That's not even the right English. It's good financially. So looking at Celtic's cup runs from last season and this season, they only reached the second round of the EFL Cup and the fourth round of the FA Cup, and this year again, third round of the EFL Cup and the FA Cup third round. So really, they've not had any luck in most of the cups. The season before that, which is in part 1, they reached the semi-final of the Checkatrade Trophy, and again reached the semi-final of the Checkatrade Trophy again. But cup runs not doing so well, but I think I'd rather promotions up the leagues than winning any cups. And looking at the Celtic squad, the highest value player is Paddy McNair, the former Man United man, at 10 million. David Faupala, who scored a lot of their goals this year next to Bertrand Traore. Patrick Roberts got 15 assists, so again, a lot of £10 million players. They'll really need to improve though if they want to stay in the Premier League. And now on to Rangers. Now we've already gone over the league positions of Rangers and Celtic, so let's go on to the transfer history of Rangers last season. They only spent 4 million. You can see there is a clear contrast between the amount of money Celtic spend and the amount of money Rangers spend, but Rangers do get a lot in through players sold as well. But in the last season, he signed Samuel Carruthers from MK Dons, Johnny Russell, the former Dundee United man, for 650k, Alex Gilbey, Harry Bunn, Jack Grimmer, Keenan Bennett, John Perry Jr. Baptiste, that's some name. He signed him from Notts County, Josh Pask from West Ham, Caelan Hinds from Arsenal, Zeki Friars from Cardiff, Christoph Clara. Again, a lot of these players on loan, but not really a championship type of team. In terms of players left, Gary Gardner for 5 million, Jan Barbet for 5.75, Stephen Kingsley for 3.4, Ivo Pinto for 1, and you can pretty much see the rest. 900k for Neil McNeil. Is he a regen or is he a real player? Of course he's a regen. Who on the right mind would name their kid Neil McNeil? So like Boaty McBoatface. 675k for Wes Fodringham, 675k for Martin Olsen, 140 for Josh Windus, Ryan Hardy sold for 66k, and Luke Lilly for 40k. Now, I would say if they kept a lot of these players, which they got a lot of money for, in the squad, I'm not sure if they would have got relegated or not. But this season they spent 3.4, which was less than last year, and he signed a lot less players. Declan John from Aston Villa, a left back Leandro Bacuna from Aston Villa, Johnny Byrne from Barnsley, Brahim Diaz from Man City, Greg Smith from Preston, Rob Bird from Liverpool, and David Ramsden from Crystal Palace. And he sold pretty much nobody. They didn't get much money in at all. 50k for Sean McDonald, and he loaned out Alex Gilbey, who they signed last year actually. Did they? Is he not the highest? Well, 600k, and they just loaned him out the next season and managed to get about 200k from the wages every month. No wonder they got relegated. They're not signing a higher quality of players, and the players that they are letting go are probably too good to let go, and are not bringing in any sort of good replacements. So looking at Rangers' schedules in the Cup, they reached the second round of the EFL Cup and the fourth round of the FA Cup last year, and this year pretty much similar, third round of the EFL Cup and third round of the FA Cup. In terms of their squad, which is going back down into League One, they do have some high valued players. Donovan Daniels, a centre back, again 8 million. Jordan Turnbull, left back / centre back, for 8 million. Declan John 5.5, Jack Grimmer for 5.5, Robbie McCrory, who's actually a youngster goalkeeper who starts at Rangers, only 23 now, worth 4.6. Sean Murray for 3.9, Leandro Bacuna for 2.5. They really should bounce straight back up into the Championship, but we just got to wait for the next part to see. And so in the next episode we will simulate a further 2 years maybe to see how Celtic get on in the Premier League and to see if Rangers bounce back up into the Championship and maybe go on to get maybe a double promotion into the Premier League. But you never ever know. We might do 2 seasons, we might do 3. I'll decide that within the next part. And before I leave you guys to go ahead and talk about the FM Scout website, if you are looking for a new Football Manager channel, especially if you are Scottish and are a fan of Scottish football, or if you're a Celtic and Rangers fan, then please head over to my channel, where I'm doing currently a series called Reliving 67, where I take hold of Celtic. So hopefully you can go over there. If you do enjoy, then leave the video a like, subscribe as well, but don't forget to leave this video a like and subscribe to FM Scout too if you are new. So here we are on the FM Scout website. Again, it offers a whole host of tools that you guys can use to better yourself at Football Manager. In terms of scouting, you've got the FM17 Wonder Kids, best coaches, free players, bargain buys. If you're struggling to find players to sign, you can get a club finder and who to manage, and if you're really struggling to get a new save and get into one. You can download tactics, you can share tactics, you can ask for tactical advice if you really are struggling. In terms of add-ons, there's so many. You've got the real name fixes for things like the Champions League and Europa League and team names. You get the face packs as well, which is a nice addition if you can, obviously your computer can handle it. You've got skins to make your Football Manager look that little bit neater. The updated kits and also random databases. In terms of tools, you've got the FM Scout Editor 17, you've got Genius Scout, you've got Mac Assistant, and you've got the pre-game editor. In terms of guides, you've got the in-depth guide, a little bit of quick tips, team guides, tutorials, hints and tricks, and the manual to Football Manager. In terms of help, you've got all your troubleshooting articles here, and as well as the blog, the latest news, experiments, the weekly digest, and memes apparently. Members as well. If you're a member of FM Scout, you'll appear under here. And football, you've got the football views, the Fantasy League, live streaming, and video highlights. Again, Football Manager, FM Scout in general, the interface is very nice. You won't get lost around here. You can find loads of videos that are on the FM Scout channel as well. But I would highly recommend that you come over here to the website and just run riot. But this is going to be the end of this episode. If you have enjoyed, then please leave a like. Subscribe to FM Scout as well. And I'll see you all in the next video. But until then, finders keepers, losers, weepers.